Hello, my beautiful Red Carpet Curls royalty, and welcome back to the Red Carpet Curls YouTube channel. As always, I am your host and educator and the founder of redcarpetcurls.com, Queen Monroe, and I'm also the founder of the entire Red Carpet Curls platform. So I am super excited. This is part 2 of the Porosity series, and we've already discussed in part 1. If you haven't already, that link is in the description below for you to check first. You should see part 1 before this. It's going to make all the difference in the world, I promise you, because we're not recapping anything. We're moving straight forward. So we've already discussed what porosity is and how it occurs. Porosity occurs from natural weathering of the hair over time. And there were many factors to that, such as direct heat, your genetics, your environment, all of that good stuff. So now that we know what causes porosity, let's talk about the 3 main topics we talk about in terms of porosity, which is high porosity, low porosity, and medium porosity, which is considered ideal porosity. So I'm going to explain to you what those are, what are some of the characteristics of these porosities so that you can compare and contrast if you don't know what your porosity is just yet, and we will move into the surefire way to determine your porosity. And no, it is not the float test. It is not any of these at-home tests. There is only one true way to discover your porosity, and we will get to that. So let's start first with what is high porosity hair. As we did in part 1, you can follow along in the description box in this video. You will find the article to redcarpetcurls.com, where we will be following along with the Porosity 101 article. So let's get into high porosity. So high porosity has the most damage, okay? So it has more holes in the cuticle layer of your hair. The little scales on the cuticle are so damaged that they're not able to close and seal in moisture the right way. So high porosity often stays open. The little scales on the cuticle stay open just like this, and throughout the rest of the day, moisture leaves very quickly. So does your hair color, which leaves your hair looking dry, brittle, sometimes damaged. You can see from the frizz. And more than that, just dull. It looks very dull. It doesn't look shiny at all. Not like my hair today. My hair is looking great. And you can see how I got these curls in the Voracious Curls tutorial. That was a shameless plug, but it's my channel. I can do that, okay? So yeah, the malnourished curl layers have already begun to crack and peel away. So as you continue to use direct heat, if you don't seal your hair properly with oil or some kind of sealant like a conditioner, all the moisture is going to leave and it's going to get very dry, and it's just going to crack and peel away and cause more holes in the cuticle layer. As a result, all moisture added by water and products are very quickly released. So when I started the curly girl method and I found out I was high porosity, my hair would dry in less than 2 hours. With product, without, it would dry so quickly because all the moisture was fleeting out of my hair. By the end of the day, my curls looked dry. Even on wash day, it was horrendous. So if you're not properly sealing your cuticle, that leaves nothing but dry, damage, and hair that's very prone to split ends and breakage. I suffered with that constantly, and honestly now split ends and breakage are a thing of the past. I don't even suffer with it anymore. Okay, since the layers of the scales are unable to close properly, high porosity hair is able to receive moisture quickly. So when you put your hair in the faucet, you notice your hair gets soaked very quickly, but you also notice it dries very quickly. That is also another factor of high porosity hair. High porosity hair often dries quickly. That's because there's so many gaps in the cuticle. And remember, the cuticle serves as the door of the cuticle to let moisture in and out. The purpose of the cuticle scales is to seal in the moisture for as long as humanly possible. Let's be honest. High porosity hair is unable to do this, and therefore moisture retention is an issue. The more damaged your hair is, the harder it is to retain that moisture. That's why you need to deep condition every single week to repair the overall health of your hair so that it can hold moisture better. The reason porosity is a factor because in the very beginning when we start our method, we have so much damage that we are physically unable to hold on to the moisture. But as my hair and our hair improves, it gets thicker, it gets shinier, it's able to hold on to moisture much better. So common causes for high porosity include your age. As I said in part one, our hair is constantly receiving sun, so the UV rays damage our hair. We go to the beach, so salt water and chlorine damage our hair. We manipulate our hair by brushing it, combing it, putting it in tight buns, or putting it back really hard. A lot of these over time will end up hurting the cuticle and causing high porosity hair. A couple other factors are the overuse of shampoos. So you should not be clarifying your hair constantly. There's no need for it. Combs, towels, exposure to the sun and the environment. So i.e. the cold winds, like I am in New York and it's very cold. The cold winds do make my hair very rough, dry, and brittle. And the frequent exposure to chemical treatments. So if you are dyeing your hair, if you were perming your hair in the past, if you're straightening your hair, these are all different things that can harm the hair. But specifically chemical treatments like bleaching, dyeing, anything like that, those do increase the surface area of the cuticle, which means it causes more holes that you need to repair. So here are some characteristics of high porosity hair. High porosity of hair absorbs too much water too quickly, so it gets soaking wet very quick. The hair dries very quickly, so 2 hours or less, or sometimes if you have thicker hair, if it dries quickly, you're gonna notice. Because some people, like low porosity, often, I've known many people that they wash their hair and it takes 24 hours to dry on its own. So high porosity hair is unable to retain moisture for long periods of time. So you're going to have to wash more often. You're going to have to moisturize more often. You're going to notice because, for example, since I properly seal, I can go 2, 3, even 4 days without doing anything to my hair and my hair still retains its moisture. That is healthy high porosity hair. High porosity hair also tangles very easily because when it's dry, your hair tangles up. It's also very frizzy. It looks very dull. And many times it can have certain characteristics of low porosity hair and it can be a little confusing, but trust me, high porosity, the main thing you're going to notice, it's very frizzy, it's very dull, and it's very hard to retain moisture in your hair for long periods of time. Now let's move into low porosity hair. This is the one that's constantly being misconstrued, and this is the one that I had to research the most because I wanted facts for you guys. So let's talk about the opposite spectrum, which is low porosity hair. Low porosity hair will not accept moisture easily, and that is because the cuticle layer of your hair is totally opposite from high porosity. Basically, the scales of your cuticle, low porosity hair is healthy hair, okay? I want to put that out there first because just because high porosity hair deals with damage, that doesn't mean that low porosity deals with a ton of damage either. Most of the time, like I said, everyone's different, but most of the time low porosity hair is healthy because the cuticle layer, the scales on the cuticle layer, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. They stay shut. They're tight, so shut. They're shut so tightly like this that no water gets through. No moisturizers get through. Everything is hitting it like boom, 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 but it's not letting anything through. Just like that, okay? So since high porosity, it has a gap like that. You see how moisture can get in and out? Low porosity is the opposite. There's no gaps. It's closed so tightly nothing can get through. So low porosity is technically considered healthy hair. The cuticle itself isn't damaged, okay? That's the main thing. But it does get so dry that it mimics damaged hair, okay? That's what I want you to understand, the difference with low porosity. It's healthy hair, but because it is so malnourished in terms of hydration, no moisture can get in there, it dries out and becomes so rough and brittle that it begins to look and mimic damaged hair. That's why most people are like, oh, I'm low porosity, so that means I'm protein sensitive. That is not necessarily true. Protein sensitivity is so rare. Most of the people who think they have it don't have it. It's just they were using the wrong kinds of protein. But we'll get into that in a separate video. So, since the scales are sealed so tightly, water and products cannot easily enter or leave the strand. That's why low porosity often deals with a lot of buildup, because as you try to apply deep conditioners, aloe, anything to moisturize the hair, the cuticles are so tightly bound, everything just sits on top and just weighs your hair down more and more and more. So this results in products sitting right on top of the hair and weighing it down, but never actually penetrating the hair strand to treat the source of the problem. So kind of like a band-aid, if you will. Low porosity hair is often very shiny due to the fact that, what did I say in part one? If your scales of your cuticle are laid down and sealed properly, you will have very shiny hair. It will look healthy. And that's because all the cuticle layer is sealed properly so that the light molecules in the environment can be reflected off of your hair. Okay? So coloring and other treatments are often way too difficult for low porosity hair. Many times you're going to see your color doesn't take as quickly as it should. It's very difficult to just penetrate into the hair strand itself. So here are some characteristics of low porosity hair, and listen to me well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listen and take notes. So when water is hitting the hair in the shower, water often beads up on the hair but doesn't actually penetrate. Okay, it's the exact opposite of high porosity. High porosity hair gets soaking wet really quick. Low porosity takes some time to allow moisture to penetrate. Moisture isn't easily received. It's very difficult to find ways to moisturize your hair. Your hair can take a very long time to dry. Now, I want to make this clear. Drying times are not an accurate factor to determine your porosity, okay? Because there's many instances, it depends all on the density of hair, your hair type, your curl factor. There's a lot of things that go into this. You can have hair like mine and it could take 24 hours to dry. Or I know people that have hair 3 times as long as me and it dries in like 4 to 6 hours. It depends. But many times, often than not, since the cuticles are sealed so tightly and nothing is getting in and out, it can leave the hair to take longer periods to dry, and it can be very annoying. So another characteristic of low porosity hair is that it looks healthy, but it doesn't have any volume or elasticity. So since the cuticle layer, the scales are sealed down so tightly, it reflects the light molecules from the sun or whatever lights are on you. But because it's not properly moisturized, you won't have any volume, and the elasticity will it'll be a joke. I've seen many low porosity ladies who have not been able to properly moisturize their hair once they do like this. I've quite literally seen curls snap off. That is breakage. That is due to the hair being so incredibly parched from not being able to moisturize it properly. So products do not absorb quickly or effectively. Neither does hair coloring. Hair coloring can be a really big pain in the ass. Your hair is often shiny, like I said earlier, and products sit on top of the hair. You deal with buildup a lot. So when it comes to low porosity hair, some of the best things you can do is adding heat so that your follicles can lift, your cuticle layer can lift, and you can receive that moisture. And one of the other best things you can do for your hair is having a consistent cleansing schedule. You will need a shampoo. You will need some kind of clarifier to really make sure that all that product buildup is out of your hair so that you can effectively moisturize it. And finally, we are down to medium porosity, which is also known as the ideal porosity. Medium porosity essentially means your hair is healthy. Your cuticle layer is healthy, okay? So medium porosity is the goal. Basically, this means that the scales on the cuticle correctly rise up and down, allowing the permeability of moisture, products, and chemical processes. So this means that your hair is healthy and it opens and closes correctly when it's supposed to allow everything into your hair that you need to keep your hair healthy, shiny, and beautiful. So these scales allow for the perfect amount of moisture and water to absorb into the cuticle, and some characteristics of medium porosity, also known as normal porosity or the ideal porosity, are your hair shiny, it's very healthy, It has lots of volume. It's perfectly moisturized. It has the ability to retain that moisture for periods of time. And you just have the ability to make everyone around you jealous because your hair always looks amazing. You don't deal with frizz and dull looking hair and all the other factors that can come from not being able to properly moisturize and seal your hair. Okay? Now, let's talk about some tips. I have a bunch of tips for high porosity and low porosity, but let's just name a few while we have a few more minutes in our video for part 2. There will be a part 3 to this video. Overall, this entire porosity series is 3 videos, so yes. All right, so let's talk about some tips for high porosity. One of the most effective ways to moisturize high porosity hair is steam. Okay, so I really want you guys to look into the Q-Redew hair steamer. Now, I know the Q-Redew hair steamer can seem a little bit pricey. It's around 75 bucks or so, but honestly, the Q-Redew pays for itself over time. If you have the Q-Redew hair steamer, the heat allows to gently lift your cuticle layer, right? And allow the moisture from the moist heat to really penetrate, moisturize the hair, and then you can use something to seal it. So actually, I use steam all the time, like literally every day. And as you can see, my hair is, like I said, it's high porosity, but it's very shiny. It's frizz-free. There's a lot of definition. That is because it's properly hydrated, and it's greatly thanks to the Q-Redew hair steamer to detangle my hair, soften it, and lift the cuticle so that I can properly moisturize it. Another tip for high porosity hair is proper sealing. So the cuticle layer is what you have to focus on. Okay, my high porosity beautiful queens and kings. It's going to give you a lot of trouble. It's going to give you frizz and stuff like that because, like I said, it has holes. So one thing you're going to want to do is repair that damage, with protein and deep conditioners and stuff like that. But the main thing you want to do is seal in that moisture. I personally like to seal in moisture with oils. So my all-time favorite oil is the That's That Magic oil. It has both moisturizing oils and sealing oils in it. So when I use it in my hands and I just scrunch it in like that, it seals the ends for me because these oils create a invisible, flexible barrier, okay? It is another layer on top of the cuticle layer to seal moisture in for longer periods of time. If you seal your hair, you're going to notice you're going to keep your natural oils and your natural moisture from the products for longer periods of time. I want you to please remember, if you're starting the method, if you're only a few months in, please remember you still have damaged hair, okay? You need to care for that. You need to do deep conditioning sessions every single week for 30 minutes. That is another tip that has greatly helped me. Adding heat of some kind, like the Q-Redew hair steamer or the thermal Haircare hothead. That link is available in the description box below for you. I did do a tutorial on that for you. Adding heat is going to help you to let the ingredients penetrate much more quickly and to overall repair your hair much more quickly. Okay, so seal your ends. Use some kind of heat like a microwavable cap, or even just putting a plastic cap on your head, because your scalp actually produces its own heat. And if you use a plastic cap, it actually insulates the heat in a greenhouse effect, and the heat helps to open the hair follicles and open the pores of your scalp, which helps to moisturize your scalp. And if your scalp is healthy, your hair will be healthy. Okay, so those are just a few tips. If you are high porosity and would like more tips, you can look into part 3 of the video, which will also be available in the links below for you. Now, low porosity. Listen, these tips are universal. You need heat more than high porosity does, okay? And I'm not talking about direct heat like hair dryers and stuff like that. Look into the Q-Redew hair steamer. This is going to save you so much time and so much money. This will effectively moisturize your hair. So if your hair is really moisturized and your hair is already considered healthy, you'll need less product, which means less product builds up, which means less money that you have to spend, and better hair days. You're going to have moisturized hair for longer periods of time. So heat is a must, okay? Another tip for low porosity is clarifying. Ladies, I'm sorry, there's no way around it. The original curly girl method doesn't work for everyone. Co-washing deposits moisture, but it does not clarify. So using a sulfate-free clarifying shampoo at least once a month is going to help you prevent that buildup, or even get rid of that buildup, so that you can effectively moisturize your hair. So if you shampoo with a clarifying shampoo, sulfate-free always, and then you go ahead and put your deep conditioner on, and then some sort of heat, so may that be the microwavable cap, the plastic cap, or even the Q-Redew hair steamer, the heat will then open the follicles and the hair strands to allow proper moisture and repairing of curly hair, which will make your hair even shinier and healthier. So that is it for today's video, part 2 of Porosity 101 with me, Queen Monroe. As I said in part 1, you can just click the link for the Porosity article below on redcarpetcurls.com, which has all the peer-reviewed journal articles such as the Journal of Cosmetic Science and the International Journal of Trichology, so that you know all this information on porosity is the truth. This is not misinformation. It is not none of that bull. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you guys. If it was, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I am doing videos so often these days that most of the time it's turning into a video every single day. So I will see you guys next time for the third and final installment of our porosity series. Have a fantastic curl day.